Hello everyone, and welcome. I'm excited to start today's presentation on linear and nonlinear text. This is week 8 of our course, and I'm glad you could all join us. Today, we'll explore the differences between linear and nonlinear text, understand their characteristics, and see how they're used. We'll also look at examples and discuss why these concepts matter in various contexts. Let's get started. A line graph is a really useful way to display data that changes over time or across categories. As you can see here, the lines on the graph represent the movement of the data points, which can go up or down depending on the trend we're observing. This visual makes it easier to spot patterns, whether things are increasing, decreasing, or staying stable. Understanding how to read these trends is key because it helps us make better decisions based on the data. Throughout this presentation, we'll see how different types of data can be effectively communicated using line graphs, making complex information much more accessible and engaging. So, as we look at this line graph, you'll notice how the data trends over time. It's interesting to see how certain periods show significant increases, while others plateau or even decline. This visual really helps us understand the fluctuations and patterns that might not be obvious from raw numbers alone. What's especially important here is to connect these trends to the bigger picture of our presentation. These changes highlight the impact of specific factors we've discussed earlier, like market shifts or technological advancements. Recognizing these patterns allows us to anticipate future movements and make more informed decisions moving forward. Overall, this graph underscores the importance of monitoring these key indicators regularly, as they directly influence our strategic planning and overall success. So on this slide, we have a bar graph, which is a really useful way to visualize data. It uses bars to compare different categories, making it easy to see differences at a glance. These bars can run either vertically or horizontally, depending on what best suits the data or the space available. The key point here is that bar graphs help us understand relationships and differences between categories quickly and clearly. This is especially important when we're trying to communicate complex data in a simple, engaging way. As we look at the overall presentation, remember that such visual tools are vital for making data accessible and compelling for our audience. Let's take a closer look at this bar graph. As you can see, it illustrates key data points that are central to understanding our overall message. The height of each bar represents the relative value of each category, making it easy to compare them at a glance. Notice how certain categories stand out. These are the areas where we've seen the most significant growth or change. This visual really helps us grasp the trends over time or across different groups. It ties directly into our main theme of analysis and highlights where our efforts have been most impactful. Understanding these differences is crucial for shaping our next steps and strategies moving forward. Let's take a closer look at this pie graph. As you can see, a pie chart is a circular statistical tool that helps us visualize data in a very intuitive way. Each slice or portion of the circle represents a different segment of the whole, making it easy to compare parts to the entire dataset. These slices stand for the numerical proportions or percentages of each category, giving us a clear view of how the data is distributed. This visual approach is particularly useful when we want to quickly grasp the relative sizes of different segments and understand their significance within the overall picture. In the context of our presentation, this pie chart highlights how various components contribute to the whole, reinforcing the importance of understanding proportions in data analysis. Now, let's take a closer look at this pie graph. As you can see, it visually represents the distribution of our key data points. Each segment highlights a specific category, making it easy to compare their relative sizes at a glance. The most striking part here is how one segment clearly dominates, which emphasizes its significance within the overall picture. This visual helps us understand the proportions and relationships between different factors more intuitively. Connecting this back to our overall theme, it underscores the importance of focusing on these major areas to maximize impact and drive better decisions moving forward. Now, let's take a closer look at the Venn diagram. Essentially, it's a visual tool that uses overlapping shapes, usually circles, to help us understand the similarities and differences between two or more items or concepts. The idea is pretty straightforward. Each circle represents a different item, and where they overlap shows what they have in common. Conversely, the parts of the circles that don't overlap highlight their unique features. This makes it easier to compare and contrast concepts at a glance. In the context of our overall presentation, Venn diagrams are especially useful because they simplify complex relationships and highlight connections that might not be immediately obvious. Whether you're comparing ideas, processes, or even data sets, this visual approach helps clarify how things relate to each other, making your insights more accessible and engaging for your audience. So, whenever you need to illustrate similarities and differences clearly, a Venn diagram can be a very powerful tool to have in your toolkit. Now, looking at this Venn diagram, what we're really seeing are the intersections and overlaps between different areas we've discussed. It highlights how these concepts are interconnected and how working together they create a more comprehensive understanding. The key takeaway here is that no single area exists in isolation. Instead, they all influence and reinforce each other. This visual helps us appreciate the bigger picture, showing that collaboration and integration across these domains are essential for success. Ultimately, this diagram reminds us that to fully grasp the topic, we need to consider how these different elements interact and support each other.